second class for the Python for the Power BI, this analysis with Power BI class. And since we talked about not being able to access Power BI for some persons, usually if you have if you have an organizational email, you could just go to Power BI and sign up at powerbi.com, microsoftpowerbi.com, where you could get access to the Power BI application. And for persons using Mac, right, you could, I mentioned the Visual Studio Developer Program. So if you go through this link, you can access the Visual Studio Developer Program. So let me just go to, I think I'm signed in. Let me check. If I'm signed in, let me just access mine so I can show you not here. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. If you have a Mac, I think you can download Visual Studio for Mac. Okay. Oh, sorry, that's Visual Studio for Mac. Power BI for Mac. Because Power BI is a Windows application, I'm looking at how you could use it on a Mac. I don't know if it supports Mac, if you can use it on a MacBook. I was thinking you were talking about Visual Studio. Sorry, it's Power BI. I think you might have to access it on a Windows application. So those are the peculiarities of Power BI. But regarding the organizational email, there is this platform you could use called Zoho. You can actually set up, if you have a domain, it supports free organizational email. You could actually, you could support, it supports free organizational email if you have a domain. But if you don't have a domain, I think I came across something. Let me see if it's possible. Let me go to Zoho Mail. Okay, so you can set up a business email if you have a domain, because for you to have a business email, you must have a domain name, maybe something like at yourname.com, right? So, but then if you don't have a domain, I think Zoho provides, let's just check together. I think I came across something like that, but let's check together. All right, so here, if you go straight down to the end, they have something for free plans. Let me confirm that. Okay. Okay, this will still require a domain. This will still require a domain name for Zoho. To still require a domain. This is the one for the free plan. That's if you have a domain. Email hosting for single domain. If you have a domain, it's easy to go through their free plan to set up your organizational email. But if not, I think I was thinking that this would have actually, I was thinking maybe this was what they were selling without a domain, but then for this, you would still have to use a domain to set this up. So we'll think around what we can do, right? I'll see what we can do at our end. I'm not promising, but let's see what we can do for some persons within the community. Let's see what we can do for some persons in terms of organizational. But if not, that means you might have to purchase a domain and then set up an organizational email for yourself. All right. So, but then would I really hope you're able to get around this very quickly so that you'll be able to practice what we'll be learning in class. All right. You can drop your messages on the chat if you have one. And then if you don't, if you have one during the Q&A session, I would attend to messages. Okay. All right, so let's just get started with what we have for today. So last class, we looked around the general overview of Power BI and then getting started in data analytics. That was what we did last class. All right, but for this class, we'll be getting right into the Power BI desktop, the Power BI desktop environment, how to get started with building our dashboard. So because this course is it's more like a crash course because Power BI itself, there are a lot of things to learn about Power BI. It's a very robust platform. Let me navigate from this place. Let me go to the Power BI environment. All right, there are a lot of things to learn about Power BI. And so what we'll be doing most times is to go through the project-based approach so as to cover some, basics required for you to get started learning Power BI. All right. So today I'll be taking you through the Power BI desktop environment, and then we'll be doing we could just do a mini dashboard creation, and let's see how far we can go into this class. All right, so but this is more like an hands-on class, and because there are several things that you might do when you're learning on your own, and you might just be thinking, how do I get around this, right? So that's why I encourage that we should try to get hands-on with this, but it's okay if you can't do that now because of installation reasons. So in the classroom, we linked two key tutorials for this course, for this entire program. So I'm going to be walking you through the basics of what you need to know. It's just like you using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, right? If you're using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint, some you might not really know everything at once when you just get started, but then if you keep using it, you see that there's so many tips and tricks around, some shortcuts, some designs that you've not come across in a long time, and because of usage, you're now very good at it. So that's the same thing with Power BI. As you design reports, as you build dashboards, you work with different type of data, you get very, very good at different dashboard creation and different analysis concepts. All right, so how I will get started now so that we can we can cover as much as possible. So we'll be getting started with this is the Power BI desktop environment. Like I mentioned last class, that if you want to start your dashboard creation, the first step is to get your data. You have to get your data. And in Power BI, this is the interface. After you successfully installed your Power BI desktop, when you launch the interface, you launch the application, this is what you're going to be seeing with this is the environment you're going to be seeing, right? And what this is this is the Power BI desktop. So we have file, and here file, just like the normal Microsoft Office interface, you have open. If you want to open a new Power BI file, you want to save this, for example, if I want to save this, I click on save. If you want to share this file, you click on share. So there's this get data, which we'll talk extensively on. We'll talk about get data. We might not talk about importing, but import is for you importing. Maybe somebody share the Power BI file with you, and you want to you want to open that file. You could just import that file. So if I click on imports, I can easily import from different. I can import the Power BI templates. or I can import Power BI visual from a file. Like if I want to import from my desktop, I can do that as well. All right, so you have the export if you want to export this Power BI, and then you have your publish. Okay, so then you have your sign out. I'm currently signed in into this desktop. Then you have your options and settings. So this is where you do some basic configurations on your Power BI desktop. When you click on option, there's so many settings that you can, you can change on your Power BI desktop. I won't be touching on this for now because this is more like admin setups, and there are some things that maybe you might not, you can just stick with the default for now, right? So but then if you need some more advanced setup, then you can always come here to set it up. So I'm just going to stick with the default for now, and let's just go over the basics. Okay, so we have the option and setting. You have the global setting for the entire Power BI file, any Power BI file you're designing, and this is the current file setup for this particular file I'm working on. All right, so let me just cancel that. So that about the file, and then about the Power BI application. So if you're starting to create a Power BI file or a report, the first thing is you can click on new and create a blank report, and then it launches the same interface for you. Okay, so we have other menu tabs like the home, insert, modeling, view, optimize, and help. So like I said, I might not be able to go through everything and what they do, but as we build reports, right, because I want you to get your hands on how to walk around the whole environment, the look and feel of the environment. And as you build reports, you get used to some of these menus and what they do. Okay, so but then it's similar to if you're used to the Microsoft Office tools like the Excel, PowerPoint, and the rest. It's kind of similar. It's a similar interface. So, but except this one, it's a business intelligence tool for designing reports and dashboards. All right. So you have the home tab where you have the paste. We'll be using the paste to paste is like the normal paste. You paste in a particular, could be a visual, it could be a menu or anything, maybe a text. We all understand what a paste is, right? Then get data. I'll be talking about get data as well during the course of this training. I'm talking about the get data. Okay, then we have the Excel workbook. I'll talk about that. One Lake Data Up. I will not talk about Data Up and SQL Server because this is a beginner's class. I don't want to complicate some things for you. All right, so I'll just stick to the basics for people that are just getting started. We have Enter Data, Dataverse, and all of these other menus. We have Copilot. I'm sure we all know that Copilot is just like the ChatGPT for Microsoft. So it's like an AI. So here, that's what Microsoft called their AI, so they call it Copilot. All right. So you have the home, you have the insert, you have the modeling, the view, the optimize. The view, you can see it's looking like what you have in PowerPoint, where you can choose themes and all of that. You have optimize and help. Okay, so now, when you are on your Power BI desktop, the first key thing to note is when you want to build a report, you'll have to import your data sets. And here we have 4 key views in this particular environment. We have the report view, we have the table view, the model view, and then we have the DAX formula where you have your DAX queries. Okay, so the report view is where you build it's like you have a Canva. This is the Canva where you build your reports, your dashboards. Then you have some filters. Then you have your visualization tools, and then you have your data, where you have, this is where you have your data set. So in this report view, you have the Canva, you have your filter, you have visualization here, and then you have your data. Then you have for the tabular view. So when you import your data, you're getting your data from an external source. You will have your tabular data preview on this interface. So I'll be showing you how to do that through an example. Then you have the model view where you have the relationships, and then you have the DAX query view where you write your DAX formula and the query results. You can run your DAX queries. So in Power BI, there is this it's not, I won't call it a programming language, but it's just like a syntax where when you want to write do some complex analysis on your data, you can use your DAX query or your DAX for it. So we'll be touching a bit about that during the program through practical examples. So we'll be using a practical approach to learning by working on reports. And as we're working on reports, you'll be learning some things along the way. Because if I'm to take you through the nitty-gritties of what is on this dashboard, it's going to take more than a 5 session class, right? It's going to be more than that. So let's just stick. So let's maximize the time we have for this program. All right. So on this view, I mentioned that you have the report view, the table view, the model view, and then the DAX queries. So if you want to start up to build a report, the first step is to get your data, and the data set we'll be working with, there's this sales data. So on the LMS, we have an example video that was linked on the LMS, which we wanted you all to replicate. So we'll be doing something different today. For next classes, maybe we might follow the other those examples, or might do something different. But I just want you to try to get the feel of what Power BI is about, and then when you come to class, we can deal with questions and solve so many things together. Okay, so we'll be working with this data set. Let me just bring it up. It's a sales data, and it's just like a dummy data. It's not original, it's not real. So it's fictitious data. And I'll just be taking you through what the data set looks like and what's the key things that would like to pick out from the data and what would like to build. Okay, let me just navigate to share my screen. All right, so okay, so we have this data sets, right? We have two tables on these Excel spreadsheets. We have a sales table and a product table. So this data set is like, for example, you have let me use a supermarket now. A supermarket, right? They have several products on they have several products in their store, and then each of those products have product IDs. Then the name of the product, for example, the first product ID could be it could be like let me just use any product. Could be a beverage brand or a clothing brand or anything. So this, just think of this as unique products ID, and then the associated products names. Then the category of the products, like you could have groceries. You could have maybe fruits like apple, bananas. You could have your broccoli and some of the other vegetable under grocery category, right? So maybe like apple, banana would be different products, right? Different type of fruit to be different product. Then you have your groceries as the group name. So that's like the category of that particular group product. So you could have product one as apple, product two, banana, product three, watermelon, then all on that all on the groceries categories. All right. So we also have the unit of measurement. We have the buying price. We have the selling price. So the unit of measurement is like the I believe we understand what the unit of measurement is. All right, kilogram, liters, depending on the type of product. Like the apple and banana, they could have weights. Like something that is liquid could have unit of measurement as liters. You understand what that means. Then the prices at which you bought those goods and the price at which you want to sell them. So this is like a typical product table for a particular supermarket. And then you have the sales table now. The sales table is showing the dates the product was sold. Then you have the product ID. Now, this product ID is linking is picking a particular product from the product table. Instead of you repeating what you have on that product table, you're using an ID to depict it that, okay, on this particular date, I sold a particular product called product ID 24, right? The product could be banana, and then the quantity is like 9. The sale type is wholesaler, the payment mode online, and then you're stating whether you have a discount or not. So this is just a very simple um, data set. Usually in real life, you might have more complicated and complex data, like more complex data than this, but this is just a very simple one. So assuming we want to build a dashboard for this type of data, there are things that you'd want to show to your maybe the owner. You are given a task to build a dashboard for these data sets. There are things that you want to show to your users or to the owner of the supermarket at a glance using a dashboard by analyzing this particular data. So how do you go about it in Power BI? So that's what we have to do. Let's see how we can solve the problem at hand. Okay. The first step when you get to your Power BI desktop. Okay, so now we understand the data. Let me just navigate from the data and go back to the Power BI desktop. Just before we navigate from the data set, I want you to take note of the product ID. Now, the product ID is on the sales table, is the same ID on the product table. You have the same ID on the product table as the one on the sales table. It's just like the one on the sales table is referencing the one on the product table. So if you need to understand tabular relationships, so that you would know how to connect your data. Because if there's no relationship between these two tables, there is no way this table is talking to one another. You can't relate this particular product table to the sales table. Okay, so you take note that there's an identification number connecting these two tables together. So in some tables, we could have more than one ID table. We could have another table saying we have this another category table, right? Detailing what those categories mean. Instead of you having all of these categories in this place, you can have another category table. You can have as many tables as possible, but then you use your IDs to connect different tables together. That's on that. So as the data analyst as well, you would have to, there are some skills you must learn. You must learn database management like SQL. So if you're learning SQL, doing a bit of SQL, you understand relationship, foreign keys, private keys, and so many other, concepts like that. But for the sake of Power BI, I just want you to understand that each table in your report has to be connected to one another. They have to relate to one another in order to form a very good relationship. All right, so let's stick to these two tables for now and let us get started with our report design. Okay. Point, do we have any questions? You can drop your questions on the Q&A. I don't know if you can access the Q&A now. Okay, assuming that you can access it as well. Okay, let's just continue. I'll unmute. If you have any question, you can indicate with the reason of your hand, and I can always unmute you if I'm during the time for questions. All right, so let me just navigate to my noise is just too much. Okay, sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. All right, so now on the dash on your desktop, Power BI desktop, the first thing to do is to get your data set. So there are different ways of getting data. You can either import from your data from Excel, import from SQL Server. You can paste it on a blank table, or you can even use a sample data from Power BI online resource. All right, so we're going to use the data set that I just showed you, and that is an Excel data set. So you can click on this get data. There are several ways by which you can get data from your Power BI desktop. Over about 2 to 3 ways. The first way is this. You can just click get data from another source. When you click get data from another source, it brings you to this interface. I don't know if you can see this interface, get data. For the sake of, I think for the sake of what I'm doing, I might have to share my entire screen so that there'll be some pop-ups so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so let me just share my entire screen for now. Okay, so you have your get data. All right, so you see that there are several ways by which you can get your data. You can get data from Excel, CSV, XML, JSON, folder, page. So Power BI supports lots of data sources. You can have from a database, Microsoft Fabric, Power Platform, Azure Online Service, and all of that. All right, so you could use, once you use this first method, it takes you to that interface that I just showed you. You could also use this place, get data, connect data from multiple sources from here. You could just click on get data, it still brings you to that same interface. Okay, or you come here, you come to file, and you click get data, and it brings up the most common interface of the data set source to get, where you could get your data source from, and then you can click get data to get started. So whichever way is still the same way to go about it. So now I want to get the data, and the type of data I want to get is an Excel workbook. So I'm going to click on Excel and I'll click connect. Okay. So before I click on the final data set I'm going to use, I want to show you other sources. I'll show you how to get data from an HTML from the web. You can get data from the web. You can get data from you can get a CSV file format, this text or CSV. So if I have any CSV format data, let me see if I have any CSV and look at any of the Python pandas CSV files. Okay, I'm not seeing any CSV for now. All right, but let's just continue. So because of our time, but if you have a CSV file, okay, this is a CSV file, like a text file. So you could just click on it and click open, and then it loads up the data set into your Power BI environment. So this is how the text file, the comma separated file looks like. But I'm not using this particular one. So let me just close it and go to the web. There's another way of getting your data. You could get data from the web. So let me just search web. So if you have a URL, I think I have a URL somewhere. You could just use that URL. Connect. You click on web and then you click connect, then it asks you for the URL. So I think I have a URL on this place. There is this particular web URL. Let me open it up for you. Let me open up the URL. This is how it looks like. So this is like an HTML CSV file. It's a text data, but then it's on an HTML. It's an HTML CSV file. So if I use this, it's still going to get that particular data into my Power BI desktop. So let me use this URL and let's see what it looks like. When you click on that, it brings up the data preview. You can see that it's loading the data preview. All right, so that's particular. Let me just go back to that. You can see the web URL. Look at how it's formatted. Now bringing it into Power BI, you can see how you have your data sets. It's already putting it in a tabular form. You have the invoice line ID, customer code, transaction ID, description, and all of that. All right, you can see package ID, quantity sales, and all other columns. Okay, all right. So there's another URL I have that I can get data from. Now this is a site where you have all the marathon runners in the world, the fastest marathoners. So here you can see, okay, we used this example during the pandas class. You can see some of these tables here. You can actually get the data from this URL, from this particular website. So, but when you're getting the data from a website, the URL has to, give you permission. So there are some websites that you might not be able to get data from them because they set some permissions and that wouldn't allow you to get data from those websites. Okay, so for this particular website, I think you can actually access it. And let me just use that URL here. So I'm going to go to get data, web. I can just type web and then connect. I can set the URL. If you want to go for some advanced formatting, like you want to set some URL paths and all of that, HTTP requests and all of that, you can. But for now, we'll just stick to the basics and let me enter that same URL and click OK. So because this particular website's URL is accessible, I can retrieve data from it. That's why using Power BI connects to this data sets online. So it's possible for you to have a web page that supplies different data, and then you're creating a dashboard that automatically at real time is furnishing your Power BI report. Okay, so it's like you're creating a funnel. You have your data source from somewhere, whether from a particular database or from a website. It could be like stock prices. You know, there are some dashboards that you see, like real-time stock price analysis. People, the price of stocks are going up, and you're seeing the dashboard changing. You know, it's like dynamic. So there is a way they created the funnel such that the data set is connected to that dashboard, and then automatically it refreshes the dashboard, and you're seeing a real time what those visuals represent based on the data set. Okay, so this is a web URL. So you can see those tables that I showed you earlier. So this is the first table on that website. So automatically it picked those HTML tables. It's asking me which one do I want to use. So if I am able to, you know, work on, so usually you can do some of your data manipulation on Power Query Editor, which I'll show you shortly in Power BI, or you can use your Excel tricks to do all your manipulations before bringing it to Power BI, or you could use Python to do your manipulation before bringing it to Power BI. So whichever, and that's why as a data analyst, you have varied skills. You can use anyone that actually supports what you want to achieve. So there's a way you can do your manipulation in Python or in Excel, or you want to do it here, you can do it here as well. So, but then you see that when you're writing scripts, it's like, it's faster to implement, right? So you can have all of these tables. If you want to import everything, you could use everything. But for now, let me just go back to what we have for today. So I'm going to go back to the sales data so that we can start. All right, let me cancel this. Okay, so I noticed some people are just in and out, so I'm having to get to admit them. Navigate for my page, and okay, let's continue. Going back to this page, where was I? Sorry. Okay, so you have your Power BI desktop, get data. When you get your data, we're getting an Excel data now. And then let me just go to where I have the data sets. Okay, so you have this file. So when you click on the file, right, what it brings up is it brings the preview of your data, just like you've been saying for previous imports. So now you have to, you know, if you go back to our original sheets here, this is the original sheet we have here. If you go back to this place, you see that you just have two tables. You have the sales table and you have the sales table, and then you have the product table. But here on your Power BI desktop, you can see that you're having four tables. So you have, this is the sheet, and this is the table. This is the entire table, and this is the sheets, and the table. So usually it's good to just pick this view rather than the entire the entire Excel sheet. So you just pick this preview, the one that looks like yeah, something like a sheet. Yes, that's what you pick, and then it shows you the preview of the data. So I'm going to select those two records, and you have the option to just load this data set directly into your Power BI desktop, or you transform the data. You know, I was talking about data manipulation. So because I want to add some things to it. I want to remove some things from the table. I want to do some manipulations. I would rather go to transform data to transform the data. So when I click transform data, it brings me to the Power Query editor. You can see this Power Query editor. It brings me here. And so Power Query is a very powerful tool. It helps you to manipulate your tables, and you can do some transformations on your table by different clicks. And yeah, you can even write your DAX queries here as well on your Power Query editor. Okay, so on the editor, you can see that it's different from the original interface. So this is the previous interface that we're working on. So it's different from your desktop. This is another a Power Query editor. It's a view of the Power Query editor. Okay, so here you see that you have those two tables. This is the first table, tabular data, and then this is the second one. Now we want to do some transformation on our record before we actually start building our dashboards. And the first thing to do is we're going to add some more columns. So because of what we want to do, when you look at your data, you have to start picking out, okay, what do I want to tell? What story do I want to tell with this data? What particular report do I want to present to my audience? When you're doing Python, right, it's easy to do some analysis so that you know what exactly you want to show to your user. But on Power BI, you have to first of all have like a visual representation of what you want your dashboard to look like. And most times you can do those templating using PowerPoint. I don't know if we'll be able to touch on that today, but maybe next class we'll touch on that, how to, design, do beautiful visuals using using PowerPoint, designing the template. You actually design the template. So all those beautiful backgrounds you see on Power BI, sometimes they are not designed on this Canva. Most times you just use this Canva to design your reports, and then you bring in backgrounds from PowerPoint into this interface so as to make it had some clarity and designs to your Power BI report. It's not like you can design it here as well, but then the PowerPoint, as it has proven to be very, very good in terms of designing your templating. All right, so I just thought to mention that. Yeah, so you begin to see, okay, what do I want to tell? What story do I want to tell with my data, right? And that would form what transformation you're going to do. So here, I want to show some key performance indicator on my dashboard. I want to show some views on my dashboard. I want to show like the maybe the total sale for the entire supermarket, for all my sales. What is the total sale at a glance? I want it to be there on my report. I want to show something like maybe the type of sale. Now, if you look at the input data, you can see the sale type. I want people to be able to select for different sale types. What would be the relationship between different sales type and maybe online? People can drill down to select whether the person's an wholesaler or an online, you're doing an online sale, and then I see different views regarding different sale types. So I want to see that unique view. So that would form what my dashboard would look like. All right, so let's just proceed. So the first thing I'm going to do is and also I want to drill down with respect to dates. Like I want to be able to select different years on my dashboard. I want to have users pick a year, and then it shows them the particular analysis for different years. And so to do that, I have to separate this column into dates, months, and individual, maybe months, the abbreviation of the months. Yeah, so to do that, you're just going to select your dates column and you go to your add column name. So under this place, you have something like add column. You have the home, you have the so on this home, I might not be able to explain all of this, but there are some things that you'll be touching on as we do our designs so that you'll be able to know what each of those things mean. So we have you have the new source. Maybe this new source is for adding another, maybe you've worked on this particular data, you want to add maybe you want to add additional notebook or you want to add additional file. So you just click and select and it brings up a new file you can add. So there are several use cases with these different different menus, right? But then I'm not going to touch on that. Let's just use a project-based approach so that we'll be able to to focus on what we have for today. All right, so we have the dates, and to separate them, you go to add column. I want to create a new column. So I'm going to go to add column. And when I click on go to add column, I'm going to go to dates, this dates drop down. Under this date drop down, I can extract for example, I just want to extract the year. So when I click on year, you can see that automatically it has extracted the year for me, all the years for all of the columns. So here we have about 527 records and 7 columns. So, but this is just the preview. So I'm going to go another step further. I want to extract the months as well. So I'm going to click on dates, add column, dates, then I want to extract the months. So when I click on that, you can see that all the months have been extracted. I also want to extract the month's name, because the month here is telling me 1 to 1111. I want to extract the month's name, so I can just come here, add column, dates. So you can see that date is not active anymore. So you have to highlight the column you want to actually work on. So you can click on this dates and you see that date is now highlighted. So you can go to month. Now this time around, I want to extract the start of the month. Okay, or I want to extract the month's name, right? So I'm going to go to start of the month. Oh, sorry. Now, there is another place here where we have all of this applied steps. So for every step that I've applied on this Power Query editor, you can see it's tracking it. You can see the source, navigation change. I changed type. I inserted year, inserted month, inserted start of the month. Now, I wanted to insert month name, not start of the month, okay? So I'm going to delete this step because I just made an error. So I can just easily click on this cancel icon, and that automatically deletes that particular step. Okay, so that's how to correct your errors if you made maybe an error. So let me just go back to add the correct thing. Name of the month, that's what I wanted to add. You can see that the name of the month is there now. But then this name of the month, I want to further format it. I want to extract just the first 3 characters. I don't want the full name of the month. I just want the abbreviated name. So you can go for that to highlight this month name. Then you go to transform, after which you go to text colon and extract. So here you can see that you can extract the length, you can extract the first character, last character, range, text before delimiter, and all of that. But here I want to extract the first characters. This is not going to ask me how many characters do I want to extract. I want to extract 3 characters because I want it abbreviated. So when I click OK, you can see that it's been affected. The change has been affected. So there are several ways around, working on this dashboards. I mean, there's several functions rather on this particular query editor or Power BI Desktop as a whole. But then as you're using it, you're getting to know more and you're getting to learn how to, work around some of these steps. Now, I have this my sales table. It's fine for now. I have the product ID, the quantity type, the payment mode, discount, year, month name. But I have another master table. So there are 2 ways to go about merging the table. I want to merge these 2 tables together into one table. I want to have just a single table. I want these 2 tables to be linked together. So okay, let me just close and apply these steps first. Okay, I want to close and apply. I want to show you something else. So when you're done with all your analysis and all, you can just click close and apply. And when you click close and apply, what it does is it's going to apply all this. When you click, this is close and apply. When you click close and apply, it applies all the steps that you have done. You can see it's applying all the steps and you're back on your Power BI desktop. Okay, so you can see that the data now is on the data view, the data pane here. You have your input data and then you have the master data. So if you go to relationship, this is the model view. You can see the 2 tables here, right? You can see the 2 tables here with the relationships of the 2 tables. All right, so you can see them on the model view. You could have many other complex relationships on your Power BI desktop. But because we have a table showing you that we have a one-to-many relationship that is we have for every product, right? We can have many products on the master sheet or for a particular product. You can have many product IDs. Now, let's go back to the table so that you can understand what I'm explaining. This is the report view where you build your visuals. This is the table view where you see samples of your table. So this is the input data, that is the sales data, sales data, right? And then this is your product table where you have your product IDs. And so this is the product ID, which links to the sales data. So you have one of all of these products. If you look, go back to our model view, right? One of these products has many occurrences inside this input data. So I can rename, if I don't want to see input data master data, I can easily rename it. I want to rename my columns. I can rename my columns. So if you want to rename your columns, you have to go back to your Power Query editor to do that. Okay, so when we get there, I'm going to show you. But this table, remember, is our product table where you have all the products listed. You can see the products 1, 2, 3. We have about how many products in total? We have 45 unique products. So these 45 unique products, you have many of those products on your sales table. So under this product, you can see you have product 10 here. You have product 10. You have another product 10 somewhere. If you go down further, you see another product 10 somewhere. So on that product table, one product has many occurrences on this. So that's why you have that one-to-many relationship, right? So I'm just trying to touch on all of this, through a tutorial format, because if I'm taking you through relationship, we have different type of relationship. We could have one-to-many, you could have many-to-many relationships. You could have one-to-one relationship. So depending on the way your data is presented on the table, or your data sets are presented on the table, that's what will determine the kind of relationship. Automatically, you see that Power BI intuitively has already shown you the relationship between the two tables. You don't have to create your own relationship. Okay, so if you had had to create the relationship, you could have just created it yourself, but then Power BI had already given you this relationship. You can delete it and you can recreate your own relationship, but automatically based on the way the table was designed, Power BI had already given you the relation. So let's just go back to, I just thought to touch on that. Let's go back to, I just wanted to show you that, okay, we have the report view, we have the table view, we have the model view, and then we have the DAX formulas. Now, we still have some editing to do. Like we are not done yet on our Power Query editor. I want to add some DAX formulas. Like I want to add some formulas and measures. So to do that, I'd have to go back to my Power Query editor. There are several ways to go back to your Power Query editor. You could just click this and say edit query, or you could go back through your main table. Okay, you could go back to your main table, but then let's just go through the edit query format. Let's just click on this table, then you go to edit query. It brings up the Power Query editor again, and then let's continue from where we stopped. So I want to merge these two tables together so that I can just have all my data on one particular table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to merge tables using our merge queries. So I have the merge query here. Under combine, you can see we have under your home tab, you have new query, you have your parameters, query, manage columns, reduce rows, sort rows, transform. So there are several things. You can also choose columns. For example, maybe I want to just select the columns I need. Now I'm going to use everything, almost everything. So I don't want to, but if I want to choose the particular column I need, I can click on choose column and then deselect the ones I don't need. For example, if I don't need sales type, I can say I don't need sales type, I don't need year, I don't need payment code, and I click OK. Right, you see that all those columns are being removed. I have new columns, but then I don't want that removed, so I'm going to cancel the step. Okay, so let's just go to, I want to merge the two tables. So I'm going to click on merge queries, and then it brings me to this merge view. So this is the first table, which is our product ID table, and then the table I want to merge is I want to merge it with the master. This is the ID, the product ID. These are the two unique keys related to the table. So we have the product ID here, product ID here. Now there are different kind of joins. For people that attended the Python class, we talked about the different joins. We have the outer join, the inner join, left join, right join, and we have the outer, inner, left join. So here they said they have more. They have left hand side and right hand side. So for the left join, okay, you're picking all the records. How to, okay, if you watch the Python explanation, it's clearer there, but I don't know how you can easily visualize it here. But what the left outer does is that includes every of the occurrences on the left table. The left table in this case is the input data table, and whatever occurrence matches in the right table, it picks it. That is, this is P024. This row has P024. So it comes to this table, and I can't trace the record here, but there is P024 here on this table. So it matches all of the records with P024. So it's like there's a merge done, and then but it ensures that it includes all the occurrences on the left table. That's the left outer. The right outer is the opposite. It merges all the occurrences on the right table, while the full outer it matches all the occurrence, all the rows in both table, whether they are in the left or in the right. It's like it takes a union between the two tables together. So here we're just going to leave it as the at default. Let's use the left outer. You can even see that it matches. We don't have any missing value because we have all of the rows selected. For every product ID listed in this table, we have a unique product associated to it. So if you have P24 here, you have P24 here. If you have P38, there's P38, and then picks all of the records and merges them together. So let's just click OK. And we have now a mega big table. So, but this is the table that we've merged. We are going to now select the columns that we need. We need all of the columns except the product ID because we already have product ID on this is the left table, right? We already have product ID on this table, so we don't want two product IDs. Let's just deselect the product ID and click OK. All right, so you can see now that the two tables have been merged together. And then you can see that all the products have been represented. You can see here that for that product 24 that we had here, you can see P024. You can see that the details on the P02, the product 24 on the right table had been included. And for each of those IDs, it brings all of their associated roles, merging them together. So I believe I understand to this point. I'm going to stop to take questions. I think I'd already trained for so long, extended time before we go into the next thing. I don't know if we'll be able to build all the dashboards, get to dashboard creation today, but let's see how far we can get to. Do we have questions? If you have questions, we're stopping for like a bit, like 5 minutes. Let's take questions. You can raise your hands. Since we don't have the chat on. Any question? If we don't have question, let's just continue. Okay, Olatunde, you can talk. I just allowed your mic. Hi, Olatunde, you can talk now. Just unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, then. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, very well. Please, quick question. Yeah. As a data analyst, will I always have um data sets available for me to work with, or I will be the one saddled with the responsibility to collect my data?
All right. Okay. So as a data analyst, depending on the kind of job that you do, so if you're working with an organization, it depends on type of organization. There are some organizations that they have data sets. They have the database, a data department where, of course, most organizations would have a software department, depending on the type of organization again. So you would always work with the data engineers as a data analyst in a well-structured organization. You work with data engineers, you work with the database administrators, you work with the data scientists if there's another department for data and AI. So you are usually in the maybe research and development team or the software, depending on the organization. So if you are in that an organization structure like that, you would work with the database administrator or the data engineers, and then they would give you access to the database if you're using it depends on type of database, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server. So that access, that's where you're going to get your data from. Maybe if you have to do some data analysis with the organization's data. However, if you're working for clients, like you could be working as a freelancer and maybe you're working for a client or something, they might have to provide you your own data. I mean, their data sets. They could have their data stored somewhere, maybe in Excel, database, I mean, in a particular database or something, right? So they would share, give you, grant you access to their data set. But also, if you want to do like a personal project, you're working on maybe we're working on a product, you want to build a product or something, you might have to source for your data yourself. So we have the data gathering process. There are several ways by which you can gather data. Sometimes you might even have to do your surveys. Maybe you're working on a project that has to do with mental health of people in a part of the world, maybe in let me just use in Africa, for example. So you might have to do questionnaires based survey gathering, like sending out surveys to people, put some maybe incentives on. There are several ways of getting people to fill surveys these days. Just put some incentives on it. You get a lot of people that would respond to that particular survey. We're asking them questions about their mental health. Do they sleep well? How often do they work? Something related to what you want, your goal. So you go through that questionnaire-based system, then you have to analyze, put those answers. I mean, your surveys could come through Google Form, through SurveyMonkey, or anyhow you're gathering your data. So you have to analyze your data using that data set. You could also scrape data too, gather it online. Maybe you're working on something related to financials, maybe stock prices or something, prediction, or you want to do some stock prices analysis, or you want to analyze the football. I think there's a football match going on, right? On this Champions League. Is it Champions? Sorry, I'm not current, but I know there's a football match going on. You want to analyze some games, right? You could go to their website, check their updates, gather this data from them, and then you'd use it for your report designs, right? So there are several ways to gather. So your task is also data gathering. That's part of your task as well as a data analyst. You must know how to gather your data correctly. All right. I hope that answers the question. Let's take one more before we. I hope I answered the question, right?
Yes, perfectly answered.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. You're welcome. Okay, Paul, please, you can speak quickly so that we'll be able to touch on other things.
Okay, good evening. Thank you very much.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Mine is just more of appreciation, though question will follow along, because honestly, sometimes I wonder how it is the energy it takes to talk for 2 straight hours and consistently, because that also matters. So we really appreciate you for teaching us so much value. My question is just regarding the whole learning journey itself. Like, I've been on this data, though, because I work, sometimes it's not very easy to keep track of things. So I've been trying to get back on track, because for a while I've not been attending classes. So now my major point of concern is, from your experience, how do you think people who have from beginner to intermediate knowledge, how do you think we can keep track of all these things? Because part of the issues I have at times is, I don't know, maybe it's in part because of my other lifestyles, but I notice that sometimes, when as you are trying to keep track of one, if you are focusing too much on this one, you're almost forgetting what you've learned in the previous ones. Like, for instance, maybe you did a crash course on pandas, then maybe you move to Matplotlib. Before you know, by the time you are coming back, it will look as if maybe those things, when it's time, when your project is demanding for you to now bring everything together as a single piece, sometimes it's not that easy. You understand? You have to go online, copy codes and all of those things. So, like, what's your
Yeah, I
recommendation
got the
for
question.
how to be
Okay,
able
I
to
got a
get a
question.
good grasp
You want
of
to
everything.
see? Okay. Thank you for I'm trying to save time. All right. Okay, so I got the question. You want to know thank you for the feedback. Thank you. It's appreciated. You want to know the what is the best way to go about learning your learning journey, keeping track of all that you're learning together. Okay. It's just as simple as this: focus. You have a plan for yourself. What do you want to learn at every point in time? What are your learning goals? What do you want to achieve at every point in time? And another way, and that's part of why we have this community, right? So after the program, depending on how much support we can get, we'll be having some sort of like project based post boot camp learning experience for our community members, where you can keep learning. And it's now you have to own your own learning, because there's no way you can learn so much without trying out what you've learned. And that's what project does for you. And the reason we studied and saw that most times people tend to learn very well when they are learning as a group. When you have maybe a challenge, we're doing like, okay, 1 month project-based challenge. We want to do 3 projects. You're making a point of duty that every month I'm doing 3 projects. There's no way you participate on 3 projects that you won't use all your skills, and then you're always putting out. You can imagine, even if it's 1 project per month, in a year you've done like 12 projects, and then you're actively using what you're learning, and you see that you're growing your skills, you're getting very, very better at what you do. Okay, so I thought the questions we'll be asking was based on this Power BI training I'm doing, but let's keep all the other questions to the end so that we don't disrupt the flow of the class. But I hope I was able to answer that question. We'll talk more about it towards the end of the class. All right. Thank you, Paul. Okay, Olayemi would take your questions at the end of the class. Let us just continue what we have for now. Okay, all right. Let us continue. We stopped at the reports, which I was showing you the Power Query editor. And let me share my screen again. Okay, so we have this Power Query editor, right? And we just merged the 2 tables together. So our table is looking good. So another thing we'll just have to do now that we have the 2 tables together, we want to add some columns and measure. We want to add some new columns and measure. So there is something you do in Power BI called Dask Out. We'll be touching a bit on it during the training, but you'll be using that a lot when you are doing your Power, when you're working on a Power BI project. Okay, so we're going to add some new columns, and we want to, because of our dashboard, what we want to achieve with our dashboard, we're going to be adding 2 additional tables to our table. And to add your 2 additional table, like what we did earlier, we can say new colon. You could go to new colon or hard colon. Sorry, let me just go to. Sorry, I had to admit somebody. All right, so we want to add a new column, home. Okay. First of all, let's close and apply this particular change that we made. Let's close and apply. Let me close and apply this. Okay. Okay, so we have, after closing and apply, it brings us back to this view. So we're going to come back to this view again, and we want to add new columns. So to add new column, you come to the table view. That's the table view here. And then you can see the big table now is now a one master table, right? Having each of the products and their associated product IDs, the products in our supermarket, and then all of the roles and information about that product. But then we want to add some more details to our data set. We want to add something like the total buying price. Now, if you look at these products, for each of the products, right? If you study this particular row, we have a product with product ID. For example, it could be Apple, and we have it's bought, maybe they bought 6 of those apples, right? And then you can see this P35, P35. They bought on June 19th, 2021, they bought 6 apples, which was a direct sale, and the payment mode was in cash. Discount, there was no discounts because we had all of this separated. So that's why we have year, month, and month name. Then you have the product category and all other information about that product. But there's one more thing we want to get out of the product. We want to get something like the total buying, how much, what in total, what's the total buying price and total selling price, so that we can also calculate our profits. You know, when you're designing a sales dashboard, you want to show some key performance indicator. You want to find out what is the total sales that particular company had made, you know, in that supermarket, overall total sale. And by having overall total sale, right, you can also have total sale based on different total sales made on cash, total sales made online, total sales made or whether is it direct sale or let me see if there's any other. Okay, is it a direct sale? Is it an online sale? Is it an wholesaler that made that total sale? All right, so those are the key performance indicators, and that's what will form what your dashboard would look like. So we are interested in our total sales, and that's why we are going to do some calculations based on this particular table. All right, so we have the buying price. This is our buying price. Let me navigate to it. We have the buying price, P-R-I-C-E, not price and the selling price, but want to know how much in total was bought and how much in total was sold, so that we can calculate our total profits on each of the products. So to do that, we're going to add a new column. To add a new column, you could just go to, I mentioned, go to new column, column tools. We have, table tools. We have new column. This new column is here. When you click on new column, it's going to ask you for the formula for the new column. What do you want the new column to look like? So I'm going to call the new column total buying, let's say value. All right. So the total buying value would be what? The quantity times the price. Because how do you calculate the total buying price of, for example, you have Apple bought for like $5 or $50, and then the price you bought like 5 apples. What's the total price? It's 50 times 5. So that's what we are calculating. So let me just use total buying price instead of value, so that wouldn't confuse you. So we are going to use the quantity. So I'll just select the quantity. The quantity, the name of the column is what? Quantity column. But we have 2 tables here. We have the input data table. Sorry, we have the input data table and we have the master data. So I want the quantity on the input data table. So I'm going to say input data table. So you see, because I'm typing input data, it automatically brings out all the tables, the column names rather. And you can see that we have the quantity times, you have the price I bought that particular good, and what's the price is called what? The buying price. And the buying price is also on the input data table. So I'm going to use input data table and the buying price. This is it. So automatically it's going to calculate everything on in the new column. You can see here that it's been calculated for me. 5 times 6 is what? 30. 5 times the other one, 7 is what? 35, and so on. So another thing we are interested in, we're going to put another new column. We're going to put the total selling price, because that's how do you calculate your profits, right? Profits, selling price minus buying price, right? Will give you your profits. Okay, so when you're doing as data analysis, depending on the kind of data set you're working on, there's some basic things you need to learn in terms of mathematics, so mathematical concepts, some database concepts, right? That would also help you. So let's just do total selling price. Okay, so what is our input data table? Quantity. I'm looking for, okay, I've seen the quantity times the selling price. Sorry, input data table and then the selling price. Okay, that gives us our total selling price. Now, the next thing we want to calculate, okay, sorry, the total selling price has one more thing. You know, we have discounts on our table. We have a discount on our table. So when you're selling, right, if you bought, I mean, you bought an item for $50 and then you're selling for what? $60. And you give a discount of 1%. If you want to calculate the total amount you sold that product, you have to subtract the discount, right? Isn't it? You have to remove that discount from your value. So apart from when you're doing at your total selling price, but by multiplying, you have to first of all calculate your discount. What's the discount of from that particular? I'm going to multiply it by the discount. For example, I have my quantity as 6. I have my selling price as $50. I have to multiply it with my discounts. And how do I get my discounts? Your discount is 1 minus the percentage discounts, your percentage discounts. That's how you get your discounts, because it's just the basic mathematics, discounts rather. Basic mathematical concepts. I have a particular quantity of products, have my selling price, have to multiply the discount as well, because that would give me the true value of the selling price. If I don't include the discount, I'll be giving a false value of my selling price, because you have to add your discount. Your discount is in percentage, so you have to subtract it. You have to subtract 1 from it to get your original discount. All right. So when you do that, I've edited that table, so I'm going to have it updated. Okay, so now I have my total selling price and my total buying price. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is the measures. What the measures does is a measure is different from a column. A measure is just like more like an aggregated function of your table. Your like, I want to calculate the entire profits in total. So in this case, I'm not creating a separate column. I'm going to create a measure instead. So when you click on measure, right, you can say let's create our profits. A profit now. You can see that as I'm creating each of those total selling price, the new columns, total buying price, you can see them here. It's been added to our input data table. So the measure here is not a single column. So it's going to be, I'm going to write profits. How do you calculate your profit? Your profit is the sum of the total selling price minus the sum of the total buying price. That is your profits. Profit is what? Selling price minus cost price. Okay, so we have the sum. I'm calculating a measure on the entire column of each of the on this entire table, the selling price column, the buying price column. So I'm calculating the total profit. So you're going to do a sum of the total selling price minus buying price. Okay. The sum of the buying price. All right. Okay. Let me put my sum in the correct format, SUM. All right, so we have our profits outline. So you see that it's being calculated. So here you can see all of this, measures. The new measure has been created. You can see it here by the left in our data table. Then we're going to calculate our percentage profit as well. So to calculate your percentage profit, you can also do a new measure, create another new measure and calculate your percentage profit. So your percentage profit would be your profits minus the sum of the total buying price. You know, how do you calculate your percentage profits? It's like you want to know the increase on your profits. It's your profit, your entire profit minus the total buying value. For example, the total buying price here is 30. So you're going to add all of these together minus the total profits, the entire profits. That's what you get. That's how you get your percentage profit, and you convert it to percentage. All right, so your profit is what? Your profits, your percentage profit is what? Profits okay, this is the profits minus the sum of the total buying price all right. Okay, and then you press enter. So we have to format this to percentage. This is a percentage profit, so it's a profit. So we're going to format it into a percentage. Click you go to formatting, click on percentage, and I want it to be just 0. I don't want any decimal point. I want a full percentage. I want it to be in zeros. All right, so you have your percentage profits given. So my profit as well is properly formatted. Okay, so it's fine. I want my profit to be in whole number. I can just do that as well and leave it as whole numbers. So whatever I'm doing, see that you're seeing all of this outputs effects on, you're seeing all the effects rather on the Power BI desktop table. Now, we've not started building our model. When we're talking about the process of the flow of Power BI, we talked about the we talked about the model, right? We also talked about you publishing your, before you start visualizing, you have to do your modeling before you start visualizing. So all of this data preparation is very, very key to what you want to develop. All right, so enough of all of this designs and everything. Let me see if I can start touching on some of the visuals and how to use them. Okay, so I don't overwhelm you with so many modifications. All right, so we're going to go to do that. We are going to go to our report view, because that is where you're going to be doing your dashboarding. Okay. Like I said earlier, you have to understand what and what do I want to show my users. All right. So the first thing I'm going to put there is the months and the year. I want to put out the month. I want to put out the year, and then I want to put out if you look at each of the tables, these are the tables I have. I have my date, I have my percentage discounts, I have my month's name, I have the profits, the quantity, and all of that. So I'm going to just tick. Let's start. So to build your visuals, I told you that this is a Canva where you drop all your visuals and you have your visualizations here. So on this visualization pane, you have the different type of visuals. There are different type of visualizations that you can use on Power BI. So we have the stack bar charts. A bar chart is used to show if you want to do some comparisons between two different columns, you can use a stack bar chart. We have the column chart too, which also works like a stack bar chart. We have the clustered bar charts. We have the clustered column chart. We have the 100% stack bar chart. So you're seeing bar chart and column chart. It's just difference between them is the view, the way the view is. So if you click on one of it, automatically you can pick. If you see this is the 100%, let me use a stack bar chart, for example. Okay, stack bar charts, you could start picking different different views. You could decide that, okay, I want to pick my total sales value. You could say I want to pick my total selling price, and then I want to pick my months. I want to pick the months by which I sold them. Okay. You can see that it's giving you some graphical concepts. All right. So you can see the months and the total price that was sold for each month. Right. So you can, if you want to start building your different views, but then I want to start with the months and I'm not going to start with the bar charts first. I'm going to start with some of the little filters, the slicers. I'm going to start with the slicers. All right. Let me just delete this and start with the slicer. So the first slicer I want to show, this is okay. I was showing different type of charts. So we have the line charts, which shows like the I'm sure we've come across a line chart before. You're showing like a trend of a particular, like a pattern, a trend of a particular event occurrence, usually used with dates. We have the area charts. We have the stacked area charts. This is how it looks like. We have the line and stack chart. So there are graphs whereby you can put your data, and then you have the line charts flowing on top of it, depending on the kind of data you want to show. We have the ribbon charts, we have the water. So I'm going to touch on some of these charts. We're going to use some of them on this particular what we are doing, right? If we can't finish we can't finish everything today, but we'll continue from there during the next class. Maybe we'll use the next one out to quickly complete it. So I'm just taking my time to explain all of this because this is just like the first introduction to this Power BI desktop. Okay, so we have scatter charts. I'm sure we've seen some charts that has big dots. So that's like a scatter chart. We have the pie chart. We are familiar with pie charts, right? We have the donut charts. We have the tree maps. I'm going to be showing you some of them. I'm just showing you a different type of charts we can see. So, but then I want to focus on the slicers. That's what I want to use now. So I'm going to click on the slicer, and this time around, I want to add my year to the slicer. So when you add year, you see that it's showing me different formats. of the slicer. You want I can either put it in it could be a drop down format, or it could be the year in checkbox. I mean, I can do it in just normal checkbox format, click checkbox format. All right. So you have the year, but because I want to put I want to put the month as well. So I'm going to let me just, since it's the same slides, I can just easily copy and paste visual. I can do Control C, Control V and add visuals. So I'm going to add my year, my other visuals. Let me add one more. Okay, so this is the year. I'm going to set the months. So for you to change the visual, you're clicking on this particular visual, and then if you notice, it's year that is checked here. So because I don't want year, I want months. So I'm going to deselect the year, and then I'll go to, so when you're deselecting the year, you see that nothing is showing. I'm going to go to select the month's name, because that's what I want to show. So here you can see that your month's name is showing here. All right. So don't worry about the designs. The designs will come later. All right. For now, let's focus on the insights we want to get out of the data set. So you're going to have this month. Okay, so we have the month name, we have the year. So let's put other, I also mentioned during the explanation that I would like to also focus on the product type, the sale type, and the mode of payments. Let me put the mode of payments first. We have the payments mode here. So I'm going to select the payments mode. You can see here now that you're having year and it's not showing well. You're having year and payment selected. So you're going to deselect the year so as to show the payments mode correctly. So you can see the cash and the online mode showing correctly. Okay, so I can, put it here. And then I want to also show the sale type. So I'm going to deselect the year and show the sale. I'm still using the same slicer, right? The slicer is just the like a drop down to connect different parts of your data together. So we have the sale type here. You can see the direct sale, online sale, and the wholesaler sales. So you have it here as well. So we are going to, but I want my chart to look a bit more professional. So I'm going to change this to drop down. So for each of, now let me talk about some of these visuals and their properties. So, I mentioned here that we have filter, we have visualization, and we have data. For a while, we've been using the data and the Canva, right? So now I want to touch a bit on the visuals and their properties. So when you click on any of those visual, right, we have build visual, we have format visual, and then we have add format further analysis to your visual. But for now, you'll just be using your build visual and your format visual. So for your build visual, right, you can see that it's telling you that the field type you are on here is the sale type, which is what is currently selected. You could set some other properties. You could have a cross report, keep all filter, add three true fields, and we're going to focus more on the formatting, because I want to change this format to a drop down instead of a checkbox. I don't want a checkbox. I want a drop down instead. So I'm going to go to click on the visual that I'm trying to change format, rather click on the format, and then I can go to, so under the format you have different settings. So she's saying that there are a lot of things to learn in Power BI, and it comes, like I said earlier, it comes through building reports. You can just decide to say, okay, I want to build a report on something that interests you. I want to build a report on the rate of on maybe if it's some maybe rate of employment in a particular place, and you want to see what are the factors affecting the rate of employment or unemployment, something that excites you. Could just think around something that excites you, and that would drive you to building amazing visuals. And then another way is also to replicate. Maybe there are other projects that has been done that you've seen, like sample of what they've done. You can just, and that's why we kept those projects on those videos on the LMS. Try to replicate it, try to do what they did. I understand that Microsoft constantly upgrades and updates their software, so some instructions might be different. Like before, if I wanted to change this to drop down, I would have just selected this and then I'll click on the setting and then I'll change it. But now they've taken it, so it's now under slicer settings. So you have to keep, as you're working on these softwares, you'd be updating your usage of the application. All right, so when you click on the slicer setting, so I can easily come here to change it to a drop down instead of a vertical list. So I'm going to click on drop down. You can see that now we have all. I can easily have something like this, which would make my so I can have more space on. I can change this one as well to drop down. So we have this, and then we have this. All right, so we've not started building some of the graphs. I'm just building some things that would use to control our visuals. Okay, so you can decide to say, okay, I want to see all the cash sales, and then the cash payment sales, and they were made online, and it's going to give you based on, and I want to see the cash sales, online sales for 2021. All right. I don't want for 2020. I just want for 2022 or for 2021. And then it gives you the visual, associated visual related to that. All right. So, but let's just continue building the visual that we want. Okay. So let's check. Let's try to build, the next thing we'll build is a card visual. We're going to build a card visual, and this is the card. The card is the one that adds 1, 2, 3. So when you click on card, you can see here that, okay, so take notes when you're building your visual. If you're selecting any visual, right, it automatically if you're selecting a visual and then you go to select the visualization here, it's going to change that visual, and that's what happened just now. So this slicer had changed the card, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to go back to my slicer. Okay, so let me just go back to my slicer, and then okay, so what just happened? Let me deselect and reselect again. It has messed up with my settings. All right, let me just delete it and do it again so that I don't have to start worrying about that. Okay, so let me pick my slicer. And then this. All right, so when you're picking a particular, you want to pick a new, a new visualization. You click outside any of these ones. Don't select them, just click outside, right? And then once you're outside, then you can go ahead to select your visual. Okay, so we have this card. So we have this one here. And then you can say, I want to see my total selling price, the total amount sold. This is my total amount sold. It's telling me that the sum of the total selling price is worth 1 point. So I'm going to format it for that. I want it to give me I want this to give me a whole number. So I'm going to come to the format, call out value. I want to reduce the decimal place. I don't want a decimal place here. So I'm going to say 0. Oh, sorry. So you see that it's better now, right? Okay. So I want more. I can also change there are several things you can do here. You can change you can decide to change the pixel. You can reduce the font if it's too large. You can reduce it to, I want something like 30. All right. Then you can decide to change the text as well. The label is on. Okay, I can decide to remove it if I don't want it. If I want to put my own, I can put my own. But if I want it, I can leave it there. Okay, so there are several things to do around this this particular card. So I want more of this card. I want other ones. I want to put my profits. I want to put my profits on this place as well. I want to put my profits. So I'm going to copy, because I'm still going to use the same card. Let me copy and paste more. I'm going to put my profits. I'm going to put let me see my profits here. Select my profits. I have to deselect the total selling price and select profits. You can see my profit is showing, saying I have a sum of like 156 as my profits. I'm going to put my percentage profits too, because those are the things that your users might want to see, or the person that maybe you're designing a dashboard might want to see. I want to put my percentage profits, because you see that all of those measures that we calculated earlier, why is my percentage profit in negative? Something happened when we're doing our calculation. Something there was an error somewhere. My percentage profit is not supposed to be negative if there was no loss. All right. So here, because of our time, we're going to continue from here when next week, and by next week we'll move faster, because I believe we are getting a hang over some of those basics, right? Okay, so we're going to move faster next week, and hopefully would be able to cover so much and design the entire dashboard. But I just want to you to know that Power BI can be very, very interesting, but then it takes a lot of and you have to do a lot of analytical thinking, reasoning. You have to think of different what exactly do I want to present, and how do I get my answer? And if you tried different examples, you've been working on different projects, it will be easy to get at what you want to publish. So by the time you're doing your project, we're going to make it open, so you can actually analyze anything. You can decide to analyze the top celebrities in YouTube. I mean, on YouTube rather. As simple as that. You want to build a dashboard that showcases top celebrities on YouTube. You go to their YouTube channels. You gather their data on maybe the number of views. Maybe that could be your KPI. The number of views. You gather the number of likes, the their top showing videos, or their viral videos. You gather some key things about them. I can just build a dashboard around each of them. That would give you some real life analytics experience. You could do so many things around that, something that interests you, and that would give you like a motivation to do this, and want to do other things. So because of our time, we took time to just go through some of the basics. By next class would be going faster, so that we can cover as much, and we'll be doing more of project-based learning. We'll be replicating some projects and trying to, the ones in class, we will have to replicate it. We can just design it a different way, replicate it, and see how far we can go with learning this thing. So at this point, do we have any questions? We have our time is fast spent. Do we have any questions? Any questions, please? Yeah, so somebody dropped that you can check Microsoft Store for Power BI Desktop. right? I'm using Office 365, so I can't really tell if people without Office 365 do not have access. So if you don't have Office 365, you can still check for Microsoft. You should check your Microsoft Store. If you can see your Power BI on it, then you can download it from there. But if not, but I use Office 365, so I know that once you use Office 365, you have access to some of the tools based on your subscription package. All right, so you can also check that for the Microsoft Store. For our dear Mac users, well, we have to do some research on how to help you because I'll try to do some further research to see what we can do regarding access to Power BI desktop. And then okay, what else? For the organizational email as well, we'll see what we can do about that. But let's try to explore all the options we have so that we can make the best use of this class. All right. If we do not have any questions, then we'll have to call it a day. Okay, let me take one question. One question. You can talk. Bidemi,
Okay, good evening.
good evening.
Thank you for all that you have done today. It's really
It's a
enlightening and
pleasure.
eye-opening. You said something about analyzing data for, let's say, you give an example for like top content creators, how to analyze them. Just in case
Yeah.
we need to do something like that, how do we get data to do that?
Okay. You might have to create the data yourself. You might have to create the data yourself. Like if you want to do, I don't know if there are data, you could search. There are several data sources, right? You could search if it's available, but if not, maybe you might have to create the data yourself. You go to their, you could use Google Trends. Google Trend is a place where it shows you what people are searching online all over the world, and then you can see some and it's not going to give you the data set, but you see some analytical analysis on some of the keywords that have been searched. So that would give you a view of how to get your data. So like if you want to do that kind of projects now, you have key things that you're looking for each of those content creators. Maybe you're looking for their total number of, so you can gather like as many as 20 or 30. You can have for each column, maybe their total views, the number of followers. It might not be a very, very large data set, so long as you're getting your the what you're getting is actually valid, so that you're not saying what is not, right? So you have to create the data yourself
Thank you.
if
I'm
it's
just
not
using that
available.
as an example. I
Yeah.
was thinking if there is, I'm just using that as an example. I'm thinking if there's like a general data source where you can get data on anything. Let's say you want to get data about sports, about
Yes, you can.
yeah.
There are data sources. I shared some during for the capstone project for the Python class.
Okay.
So there are data. So I'm going to share for your project as well. Share the various data sources you can create data from. If you do, you're not going to create it yourself. Where you can get your data, I'll share the data sources as well. It's on the LMS, to be on the LMS, so that you can get data
Okay.
from there.
And this
All
particular
right.
data I used today, you said it's not what you hosted on the LMS for us.
Yes, yes. I'm going to put this on the LMS. I'm going to add it to the LMS, yes, so that you can also access it. Try your hands on it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, our time is fast spent. Thank you, everybody. Today you can drop your message on Telegram so that we don't take too much our time. I would answer the question so that we can all call it a day. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.
Well, if you don't do